Well, he's at it again. Mark Zuckerberg just can't leave things alone. There's new election rules for Facebook. Are these new Facebook election rules, are they going to help us? Are they going to stop the spread of fake news? Or is this just one more step toward the global dominance of Facebook? Let's talk. Hi, I'm Ian Corzine, your social media lawyer. Listen, I don't have an axe to grind. I'm just a lawyer who loves social media and loves finding the truth. And when I read Zuckerberg's new Facebook election rules, something didn't feel right. The truth seemed like it was obscured somehow. I kept asking myself the question, what is really behind Facebook's new election rules? And here's what I think. I think Zuckerberg and Facebook want to avoid the criticism that they got in 2016. They don't want to be criticized for spreading fake news for this 2020 US election. Second, I think Zuckerberg and Facebook are trying to restrict our free speech rights as users of Facebook. These new rules, which we're going to talk about later in the video, will block any attempt by us to post election-related content that doesn't fit with the narrative of Zuckerberg and Facebook. And finally, and this is the most scary, I believe that Zuckerberg is trying to control the outcome of the 2020 US elections. You have to remember, Zuckerberg owns 3 big apps: Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp. Between those 3 apps are 4 billion users. Average daily use for those 3 platforms per day is 3 hours. When you control the information about the election for 4 billion users, you're going to have a huge impact on the US election. How do these new Facebook election rules allow Mark Zuckerberg to control the outcome of the US election? Let's talk about the rules themselves. The first one is that Facebook is now going to block posts which mislead users about voting or the election process. I have so many questions about this one. Who is the decider of what is misleading to voters? Are false facts misleading? If that's the case, there have been lots of examples in the past 7-8 months of government agencies putting out facts which were later disclaimed by the same government agencies. So, in this particular rule, I have no idea. Facebook has not given us any evidence about who is going to decide what is misleading and what is not. I think this is a restriction on our free speech. The second rule is that now Facebook is going to put up this card. It's going to be called a voting hub. You'll see it on your mobile phone screen. It's going to do 2 things. One is it's going to have a link for you to register to vote. And the second thing is it's going to provide you with accurate sources of information about the voting process. I have to tell you, I followed the link on the register to vote button on this voting hub. It was very funny. It took me to California, which is where I live, and it was so easy to register to vote. I needed to put my name, I needed to give an email address, and I needed to promise that I was a US citizen. It's that easy. And that second component of the voting hub, providing accurate information to the voters and the Facebook users out there, again, the same question arises. Where does Facebook get the accurate information? Could it be Mark Zuckerberg and other Facebook employees? The third rule is that Facebook will block new campaign ads a week before the US 2020 election. Now, Zuckerberg says the reason for this is they don't want political candidates to do new ads a week before the election that could mislead the voters or have false facts. The question that occurs to me, though, is it's not good to have false facts the week before the election, but you're going to allow false facts, misleading information the weeks before the week before the election. It doesn't make sense to me. I really think that Mark Zuckerberg in this situation really is trying to avoid criticism by the mainstream media and government by enacting this rule. He's trying to say, listen, if there is fake news the week before the election, it's not our fault. We banned all new campaign ads during that time. The fourth rule is that Facebook will now block candidates' attempts to claim victory over the US election prematurely. This is another attempt, I believe, of Zuckerberg and Facebook to control the election narrative. They don't want a situation where one candidate claims victory and that makes voters of the other candidate not go to the voting booths because they think the election is over. No, Mark Zuckerberg wants to control the outcome of the election, and that's why the fourth rule of Facebook's new election rules is in place. The fifth rule is that now Facebook will block any election-related content that contains militarized language, tries to exert control over the voters. Why? Because Facebook wants that control. Who decides what is military language? Who decides what is intimidation tactics on the voters? That is all the language of free speech. I think by this fifth rule, Facebook and Mark Zuckerberg are trying to restrict our free speech rights for people to go out there and encourage the voting or to encourage voting of a certain candidate on a certain issue. This is a blatant attempt to block our free speech rights on Facebook. Listen, I don't have any skin in the game. I just want the truth on social media, and it's clear from these new Facebook election rules that we're not getting the whole story. I believe that Mark Zuckerberg has passed these new rules, enacted these new rules to avoid criticism that he got in 2016. I think he also wants to further restrict our free speech rights on the Facebook platform. And finally, and most importantly, I think Mark Zuckerberg wants to control the outcome of the US 2020 election. He has control over the screens of 4 billion users. He's going to use it, and I wanted you to know about it. But listen, I'm open. What do you think? Do you think maybe Mark Zuckerberg is just trying to do a good thing, trying to stop the spread of fake news, trying to help us? Or do you think, as I do, where there's a hidden agenda of Mark Zuckerberg? Let me know in the comment section below. And if you want to learn more about the legal side of the US elections for 2020, you can watch these videos right here. And as you watch, I'm going to be at iancorzine.com to answer any social media law questions you have.